everyone, Tam's here. Happy third Sunday of Advent. In this quick video, I am going to expand a little more on my library, my personal library. I have had several requests to go into this a little more in depth, so I am going to attempt to do that. This is my reading and writing room. There's my letter writing desk that a lot of you have seen and have commented on. And this is my personal library. You can see we're decorating for the holidays. This area is heavily used because we set up tables and the Christmas tree and music and that sort of thing. But this is where I house about 95% of my book collection. I do have a guest room with a few books on a shelf for guests to read, but this is pretty much it. So I will quickly run through it for you because several of you have asked some detailed questions. Okay, I'll quickly go through the shelves. I have this shelf, this bookcase, the one in the middle, another bookcase. I have this storage unit here, and I have bookshelves in my letter writing desk, which are normally filled with writing books. There I am in the reflection, sorry. They're filled with writing books and books about books. But right now the secretary is decorated, so those books are just in the drawers. So there's some books that are stored in there. And the way this is divided up in this farthest left case here, these are classics. And then this next bookcase is contemporary fiction. And those fill up the first 4 shelves. The bottom shelf is also fiction, but those are guilty pleasures. Those are books that wouldn't be classified as probably literature. They're just fun to read. In the middle, I have history, science, and religious writings. I consider them to go all together. And then over here, I have a lot of nonfiction. And at the very bottom, I have some children's books, YA, and graphic novels. And then over here in these wooden little block cases, I've got 3 of them. There's 2 there, and there's 1 up there. This is where I collect all the Pulitzer Prize winning books. So I don't have all of them, but the ones I do have are in those cases. And then there's also some of my favorite kind of vintage books in this bottom one here. And then down at the bottom, I have more smaller books for smaller children, like picture books and things like that, when people come over. Okay, for the classics, I have been trying to collect what is known as the Western canon as defined by Harold Bloom. He's kind of a polarizing character, but I am very much into what he considers classic Western canon. So I've been slowly I pick up most of my books at secondhand stores, to be honest with you. I get them for very little money. It's the only way I can afford to build a little personal library. And once or twice a year, I go to really nice independent bookstores and splurge. So these are considered the classics, and you can just see some of the titles there. I don't know if you can see that or not, or pause it and zoom in for those of you that want to know what's in my collection. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, in the contemporary fiction bookcase, in this first area, I have my little collection of vintage penguins. I have a small collection of poetry. I have just gotten into poetry in the last year or two, and I don't even pretend to know that much about poetry, but I have gone to some readings and I've bought some books. And then everything else is in alphabetical order. Most of this was written, in the 20th century. There's a few things in there that were not 19th and 20th century and 21st century. And again, if you want to pause and see what some of the books I have are, feel free. And again, this is just what I pick up from here. I have not read all of these. I've probably read 60% of these, especially the ones on the bottom. Those are just, cozy Mysteries. I love to pick up a cozy mystery every now and then. Books you can read in a night, conspiracy theory, that type of fun thing. So those are just the ones I've kept over the years. I've purged a lot of those. Here are some of the Pulitzers. I have read most of these. And then we have religious, science, and historic writings. I'm kind of all over the place with this, but you get the idea. And then starting on the nonfiction shelf, I have a lot of like memoirs, short stories, nonfiction, those types of things. And then over on this side, I have more like books about reading and books about books, books about writing. And then you get into more cultural writing, like film. And I have a collection of food writing. I used to write a food blog, believe it or not, and I really enjoyed food writing for many years, and I still like to pick these up, but these are some of my favorites. I love MFK Fisher. If you're interested in food writing, she's probably the queen. And then I have a lot of travel writing. I used to travel a lot for my job, and I enjoyed reading about travel while I was traveling. It made it a little more exciting because I had to do most of my travel alone. And I just saved the books. Of course, many of you know Frances May. She's probably one of the more well-known modern travel writers. And then I have some books at the bottom on economics. These were mostly picked up during my studies for my master's degree, and I just kept them. They were interesting. And I have some garden writing and decorating, home decorating. I enjoy that too. Just a few picture books mostly. And then at the bottom, of course, we have the YA section and our graphic novel selection. And I hope I didn't make you too drunk with all of this. But I hope this answers your questions and you got a better look at my book collection. So thank you so much for asking, and this was interesting. This was kind of fun to see how I would share this with you. And happy third Sunday of Advent, and happy Christmas.